Hello, welcome to this video on the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, a collection of teachings on spiritual awakening. Today we are looking at the conclusion of the Tantra, of the dialogue, the discussion between the god and the goddess. Last time we had seen that the goddess, after having heard those 112 instructions on awakening, having realized that state of awakening, asks, in that state there is no duality, no separation between the subject and the object. So what's the point of worship? And as you know, the Tantras are mainly teaching various forms of worship. So it would mean that most of the tantric practices are useless. And indeed, this is what the god said in the introduction already. He said that all those practices, worship, mantra recitation, visualization, all those are practices for people who are completely engrossed in the business of this life and who are afraid of life. But this is not the real gift of the tantric tradition according to that tantra. So in that context, the god tells the real meaning of all the tantric practices: worship, mantras, ritual bath, fire offering. And now he concludes in the verse 153 about worship in general. Yair pūjyate dravyais, those very substances that one uses to worship, like flowers, milk, or even in non-dual Shakta worship, alcohol. Tarpyate, or by which one pours on the deities, tarpyate, with which they are satisfied, literally. They are nourished, offered. Yaishcha pūjakaḥ, and the one who offers that worship. Sarvaḥ, all that, parāparāḥ, which is supreme and inferior. That is, all that which is offered externally or internally. Evaikaḥ, all that is one, the worshipper, the worshipped, and the substances used for that worship, all those offerings, outer and inner, all that is one consciousness, evaikaḥ. Therefore, pūjanam, what worship is there? That is, what is suggested here is that the only worship worthy of being called like that is the realization of the oneness of the worshipper, the worshipped, and the very action of worshipping. So now the god will teach another form of worship based on breath. As you have seen from the beginning of that teaching, breath is at the heart of the practice. Now the god concludes his teaching of that, of the core of his message, with that teaching on breath. Prāṇo, the out-breath, vrajet, goes out. Viśej jīva, life goes in. Icchayā, spontaneously. Kuṭilākṛtiḥ, having a form which is circular, with a circular shape. Kuṭilākṛtiḥ, with a circular shape. So, as we had seen in the very first of the 112 instructions, which was on breath as well, breath is consciousness. Consciousness manifesting herself as life, and so as breath. And breath is circular. Out, in, out, in, out, in. It's like a circle, like a cycle. And so that goddess, going that way, going that circular way, that rounded way, like a circle, is called the goddess who is in circles, like a nearing, and so she is called Kundalini. Dīrghātmā, she is lengthening. mahādevī, she is the great goddess who is lengthening. Parakṣetram, she is the real holy place. She is the real holy place. Parāparā, and she is both supreme and inferior. That is, she is both transcendent and immanent, because she is both beyond everything and everything. Kula akula. She is both the body and beyond the body. She is both that physical body and another body, the body of consciousness, the body of universal consciousness, which is beyond that body. And thus, the goddess in the form of breathing is what bonds the inferior and the superior. She is what unifies all those hierarchies, and somehow she's beyond all those hierarchies, because whether superior or inferior, she is all that equally. The body is universal consciousness. Breath is universal consciousness. The mind is universal consciousness. Everything is one ego. Parāparā, she is the supreme holy place, the real holy place. Parakṣetram, parāparā, she is both transcendent, beyond all, and apara, she is immanent, she is all. And why she is called life when she enters, we had seen that in the first one of the 112 instructions, but again, because it is thanks to the in-breath that we live. So the in-breath is also called jīva, and the in-breath is the goddess, life, consciousness, called life because when she enters, she gives life somehow. And prāṇo, because it means the breath that goes out, pra. Anucaran, reciting her, and you remember the word, the verb uchchār. Here it is anucaran. It is more like repeating, but with always that idea of elevation, upward. Asyām anucaran, this is asyām anucaran, reciting her. Tiṣṭhan, no, it is reciting. Asyām tiṣṭhan, dwelling, standing in her, and reciting her while standing in her, while being in that state of the universal consciousness of wide open awareness. Mahānandamaye dhvare, in that sacrifice, in that worship. Dhvare is another synonym for yaga, puja, another synonym for worship. It's a more ancient word, like a more Vedic word, of which is overflowing with infinite bliss, mahānandamaye. Tayā devyā samāviṣṭaḥ, being completely possessed by that goddess. Param Bhairava mapnuyat, one reaches the supreme divine. One reaches the supreme divine. So standing in her and remaining like that, reciting her, anucaran, saying her, spelling her, in that sacrifice, in that worship, which is an overflowing of infinite bliss, completely entered in by that goddess, one reaches the supreme divine. Shatchatani divaratrav, each day and each night, Shatchatani sahasrani ekavinchati, one recites her, the recitation of her contains 21,600 recitations of her, that is, of her considered as a mantra, each day and night. Japo devyā samuddishtaḥ, thus the recitation of the goddess is prescribed, is enjoined. Prāṇasyanti, at the end of each out-breath, because it is then that the concentration, the awareness must dwell. At the end of each exhalation, we have seen that already several times. Sudurlabha, which is very difficult to get, or sudur, which is both very difficult and very hard to get. Why? Because when we hear that we have to recite that mantra 21,600 day and night without a break, it seems to be very difficult. But in fact, it is sulabha. It is very easy to practice, because that mantra is recited spontaneously of its own accord, because this is just breath, and we don't have to make any conscious effort to breath in and to breath out, because it is the goddess, it is life, which is breathing through us. She is breathing icchayā spontaneously by her own will. So there is no effort here. The only effort is an effort of realization, an effort of awareness, an effort of attention, an effort of devotion, bhakti. So she is doing that icchayā by her own power, and we have to do this bhaktya by our own devotion, participation, engagement. Praksambit prāṇe parinata. Life breath is the first manifestation of universal consciousness. Consciousness is life, is the life of life. So this is the recitation of the goddess, of the transcendent, of the real goddess, of consciousness. This is the practice of consciousness, because here we are still in the way of mantras, mantra marga. Tantricism is called mantra marga, the path of mantras. So there must be some mantra to recite. So here the mantra to recite is the awareness of breath. That's the practice here. And that mantra, if you want to spell it, it is hamsaha. And hamsaha is, of course, aham, I, saha, I am he, I am the divine. So we are just realizing. But while reciting that mantra, we don't spell hamsaha or soham. We don't say that. We're just aware of the breath, and at each out-breath, prāṇasyante, at the end of each out-breath, we go along with it, as I said, like a surfer riding a wave. as far as possible, as long as possible, into silent awareness, into all-pervading, open awareness. Ityetat kathitam, thus has been told, Devi, O goddess, paramritam uttamam, the supreme nectar of immortality, the supreme nectar. Etatcha naeva kasyapi prakasham tukarachana, and that should not and never be revealed to anyone, anytime, parashishye, who is a disciple of another, kale krure, who is cruel and violent, abhakte guru padayohu, who has no devotion for the feet of the master, who has no respect. Nirvikalpa matinantu, but it should be given, it should be revealed to those who have no doubt, who have no hesitation. Nirvikalpa matinantu. Viranam, who are heroes, that is, who have courage. Unnatatmanam, who are equal, who do not change their mind all the time. Bhaktanam Guru Vargasya, who are devotees of the lineage of the masters. Datavyam, then it should be that nectar of immortality, that supreme nectar, should be given. Datavyam, nirvishankaya, without any fear. And then the god concludes by saying, Gramaha, village, Rajyam, kingdom, Puram, city, Deshaha, country, Putradara Kutumbakam, son, wife, family, Sarametat Parityajya, one should renounce all that, that is, offering all that spiritually to the master, to the goddess, to the god, to the lineage. And grahyametan, and one should get hold of that supreme nectar, of that teaching. Mrigechani, O you who have eyes of a gazelle. So it's still the god Shiva speaking to the goddess Shakti, Devi. Kime bhirasthirair, Devi, O goddess, what to do with those unstable things? Because anyway, whatever we have, whatever relationships and whatever goods we have, we're going to lose all of them, to leave all of them behind when we die. Sthiram paramidam dhanam, that is the supreme stable riches, the supreme stable fortune, the stable supreme wealth. Sthiram, stable. Param, supreme idam, that dhanam, that wealth. That teaching is the real wealth. All else is going to go anyway. Shri Devi Uvacha, the goddess said, Deva Deva, O God of God, Mahādevī, infinite God. Paritritasmi, I am completely filled, I am completely full, I am completely satisfied, completely happy. Shankara, O Shiva, maker of peace, literally. Rudra Yamana Tantrasya, of the Tantra, of the union of Rudra, of Shiva and Shakti. Saram, the essence. Adyavadharitam, I have received now, today. Sarva Shakti Prabhedanam Hridayam, the heart of all the powers, of all the different sorts of powers. Gyata Madhyacha, all that is known by me today. I know now the heart, Hridayam, of all the different Shaktis, that is, of all your teachings and of all experiences, because every experience is a Shakti, is a power of the divine. Ityuktva, having said that, Devi, the goddess, Anandita, filled with bliss, embraced the god, embraced the neck of the god, remained tightly tied to the neck of Shiva. Iti Shivam. That's all for today, and that is all for that Tantra. Of course, one could delve again and again, and in those last verses there were great and detailed commentaries, explanations by Shivopadhyaya, but they are very technical, and from our point of view and for a video like that, I don't think it would bring much anything new. But anyway, if you're interested in, if you read French, here is a complete French translation of the Tantra with all its commentaries translated from Sanskrit, and with a series of texts in the same style, collections like that. And we have like that a total of, I think, of 240 instructions for spiritual awakening. So that's all for today. Thank you for listening, and maybe see you for another video.